Hi, I'm Jared Walls. I'm hosting this thing, and if you'll have questions along the way, feel free to type it in the chat there, and we will do a Q&A at the end. I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to hand it over to Karl Van Delden. He is going to run us through our DX platform by Access B2B.
Thank you very much for the intro there, Jared. Hello and welcome everybody to our DX webinar. Today we're going to talk about the flagship software as a service product for our new Access B2B division, DX, our demand exchange. So Access B2B is all about bringing you quality B2B data and engagement with B2B prospects. And with DX, this platform is something we've recently launched to help promote that goal and put that power in your very hands. So I'll go ahead and get the screen share going. So first thing, DX, again, part of the Access B2B brand. It's available for more in-depth demos, but I really want to kind of give a summary overview of what this initial debut offers as our new flagship platform for B2B data. This is something that we'll be expanding and building upon. So, we look forward to offering this and engaging with our clients and building upon that with, honoring their feedback and, kind of expanding and finding opportunities to make it the user experience even better for our users. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and log into the platform itself. So when you first get in, there's some pretty notable improvements that we've made as part of this DX effort. Compared to some of our legacy products, we've added some new dimensions to the user experience and how these tools can scale with your organization. And of course, the goal of DX is to provide you with direct access to that premium, high quality B2B data that has been our bread and butter for the better part of a decade. All of that is right here in your hands for you to run your own counts, find detailed information about prospects that you might be looking into. But there's some softer advantages that we've added to this new platform experience. Among them, we have a simplified plan for managing your engagement with the platform. So we have basically a standing contacts limit. So it's not like the classic transactional, I want this list, here's my list kind of handshake. This data will actually live in the platform for you to access, as long as you choose to persist it there. So we can look at the top here and see how many contacts we have presently in the platform under our management, and how many more we can add at the moment. So really kind of cuts through the noise, gets down to very, very simple means of seeing how much data you have in the platform, how much more you can add, and letting you continue to take advantage of the records that you've added to the platform. Another addition to the user experience and scaling is the inclusion of teams. So now, instead of just kind of being a lone user searching for your lists and that kind of thing, you can onboard as a team admin and designate a couple other teammates as team admins to invite and scale up your team to collaborate together on the platform. And we'll see what that looks like here in a minute in the My Data module. But this here's the dashboard. It gives you that summary information about the records under management, the team members that you have on the platform. You can see some of the latest activity here. So this is where your credits are going on the platform, what services are being used, what team members are using them, that kind of thing. Just to create a little bit of oversight as to how your team is using the platform. Also, the first time that you enter the platform, you'll see these little prompts here on the side. Mine are all checked off right now. I've been using it for a while, but just to help you kind of get your bearings with your first steps as you get started. Now, having landed on the dashboard, I'd like to head over to data management, because my data here is essentially the backbone of the DX platform. This is where all of the data that you add into the platform flows into. And we have a nice standardized unified presentation so that it doesn't matter whether you're uploading your own first-party data into the platform or using any of the integrated tools to access our third-party data that we're providing. You kind of get that same unified experience and very convenient portability of being able to get that data in and out of the platform. So we'll explore kind of the provisions for making all of that happen. So first, to help keep the workflow flexible, we have a few soft organizational touches for you to take advantage of. We have what we call our data stores. So I'm going to head on down to my own personal data store, Karl's Data. And this is effectively a container of sorts, a bucket, if you will, for you to manage your respective data lists. And within each of these buckets, we have classifications of third party, first party, and suppression type data lists. So third party, again, is the data that we are providing to you through the platform, through our tools. First party is data that you upload into the platform. And why would you want to do that? A lot of companies have their own in-house data, but think about those situations where you don't have the total picture. Maybe you have an email list that you facilitated at a trade show, or some other list that you're looking to enhance. It could be your own in-house customer list that maybe has some gaps. So what you can do with that is bring in that first-party data that you've sourced and accumulated, and enhance it by onboarding it into the platform, where we can add numerous different data points to make your records more complete. And lastly, we have the suppression data type, which is simply data that we put into the platform in order to make sure that we're not using it in any active lists. If you've ever maintained an opt-out or unsubscribe list, that's exactly what we're talking about here. And of course, with all the new legislations pertaining to CCPA and other privacy compliance, it's more important than ever. So we have it built in right here in the backbone of our My Data module. So as we go about and use our tools to create new lists, we can point them at our suppression here and just make sure from the get-go that we're covered. So we talked about the data store. In this case, it's my own personal one, but it's very flexible. You can create one, really set it up however suits your operation. If there's certain teams or silos that collaborate together, you can isolate them to their own data store there so they can manage their own subset of lists. In this case, you can see I'm viewing all the lists in my Karl's data store. And even the lists themselves have a bit of extra context for you to leverage. So in this case, this list here has some tags on it, which are fairly easy to add, very dynamic. But you don't have to worry so much about what you call the list as long as you can add these dynamic tags to help give that context. So by this combination, we have the data stores, the actual list themselves, as well as dynamic tags, so that when you're trying to hunt down and work on some data that might be an ongoing effort, you can search by the list name, you can search by tags that have been added to the list, or if you're looking for a specific contact that is contained within the list, you can search on that as well. So we like to keep it flexible, just some light touches to help form fit your operations And I think we can probably take this moment to take a step into the lists themselves and see how we can interact with the data within the platform as well as get it out of the platform. So I clicked on this one right here, Karl First List. We can see the download button there. Now, this will provide us a very simple standard CSV download, pretty much the gold standard for portability when it comes to CRMs and other kind of manual data integrations. All you have to do is click download there, and you get that simple file, take it to where you'd like to move it to, and you're good to go. But since we have the data here in the platform, we can actually explore that very same data without having to take it anywhere. I'm going to expand this a bit. So we're actually looking at the list detail level here. We have some different filters based on the available contact information. When we added it, we see our tags there again if we want to make some adjustments there. And of course, our download opportunity as well. And speaking of integrations, you might have noticed the shadow of the little Salesforce cloud there. It is possible to push records from the platform to Salesforce as another alternative means of getting data out of the platform. So if you're going to maybe use these lists in a campaign or be email or onboard for a digital campaign, you can download that CSV. It'll have all of the essential data that you need. But if you want a more direct push to, say, your Salesforce CRM, you can take advantage of this here icon there. So let's step on in. I'm going to, let's have a look at David Bailey. I think he's on the call here today. So hi there, David. We're gonna have a little look under the hood there, our very own David Bailey. So we're stepping into the contact detail, and you can see it's styled in a similar fashion to a CRM. We have some basic data about when we added this record, all of those options I mentioned before, such as pushing it to Salesforce. We can move it to a different list, or we can copy the contact to a different list as well, all from this view here. So we start out with some basic contact information, name, title, some individual B2B data points, level, department, as well as the contact email and phone. Where we see those icons lit up orange, we can tell that we have those. If we were to take a step back to, say, the list detail view there, we'll see that the phone and envelope icons are present. If it's gray, that means that data point's not available. If it's orange, it means it is. So in this case, we'll step into a different one here this time. We can see the individual level contact information and B2B data points. And a little bit further down, we can see the summary company level B2B information. So everything's in there for you to prospect and get in touch with the B2B leads and opportunities that you've found through using these tools or enhancing your own first-party data. And last but not least, down here at the bottom, we have an area for presenting any associated company social, LinkedIn sites, industry codes, as well as, again, if you're collaborating with a team within the platform, you can add notes at the contact level to communicate with your team. So I'm going to step on back to my data, get ourselves another general overview. I think that about covers it. Quick recap. Again, we have the organizational hierarchy, data stores, lists, and tags, the CRM style presentation at the contact level, and of course the almighty data portability of CSV download and pushes to Salesforce. Now, next up, I'd like to head over to, let's start with the extension. So the extension is actually a Google Chrome extension that we have, which works with your Google Chrome browser, so that whenever you go to LinkedIn, which is pretty popular, I know a lot of sales and marketing rely heavily on LinkedIn for exploring their network, discovering new prospects, etc. So let's head on over and we'll show you exactly what the extension can do. All right, well, I'm gonna run with that. I've got David on the line, so let's go head over and see David. Now that we've arrived on a LinkedIn profile, you can see that we have this little pop out here. So this is actually part of the extension. Whenever you land on a LinkedIn profile, we're going to look to see if there's a matching record in our B2B data. So it's not that we're scraping or pulling anything out of your browser to find this. This is strictly a lookup of, do we have a matching record in our core B2B data? So it's very robust in that regard, and we can send him over. I actually just created a new list called New October, so I'll go ahead and add him to that. Before we do that, let's kind of take in what's going on with this pop out here. So for one, we have found a profile match. We do have his email and phone available, as we just saw in my data as well. And we can add it to, there's my Karl's data store once more with a new list, New October. Now, if I was a real power user and I don't want to jump down and click add for each prospect, maybe I'm just burning through my prospect list, trying to look over and add as many contacts as I can in a short time. I can always turn on auto discovery, which will automatically add these matches to the destination. So as soon as he's added, we reveal his email and phone right there. So, maybe you want to reach out to him as soon as that's revealed, whatever your workflow might be, whether you're powering through with auto discovery on or taking a more, direct approach in adding them manually and reaching out to them. So either or and anywhere in between, that's what the extension is here to do. Help you find contact information as well as detailed firmographic B2B data about prospects that you can find on LinkedIn. I'm not going to go over to it right now because I do want to make the most of the time that we have right now, but kind of as an added bonus of this extension, if you happen to go to another website that is not a LinkedIn profile page, say you went over to Dell.com, you could expand the extension and it will give you a high-level firmographic summary, things like revenue, company size, their social links, etc. So a little added bonus, but foremost, the extension does serve as a very helpful way to kind of piggyback off of what you're doing in LinkedIn and add those contacts very easily to my data. Of course, as I mentioned before, all the data flows into my data. So our own New October list, I just added David. He just ended up over there. Sure enough, he's in our New October list. Now let's say that we're having a hard time finding somebody's LinkedIn page, or maybe we want a more direct approach to just getting into that B2B data and trying to find matches for ourselves. Or perhaps, we're using a different browser than Google Chrome. Whatever the reason might be, you want to get right into our B2B data and check it out for yourself. So that's where quick search here comes in. So we can actually come in here to the search. You can see I have my recent imports from LinkedIn, recent searches cleared out a little bit recently, but as I add these imports and search, we can get some suggestions for new business contacts, new company suggestions. But in this case, all we really need to know is name and company, or even just a name. So we'll just go ahead and take off. And in this case, I'm going to look for Vincent Stirista. So what's neat about this, what I really like about this is, for one, you do get suggestions here at the bottom. In the search bar itself, it doesn't matter so much whether you're using just the name, or you don't have to go somewhere else to specify the company. In this case, we're typing it all in there, and it's taking it all, interpreting it, and sure enough, right at the top, we have the most relevant match based on what was a combined name and company single input there. So right there at the top, we have Vincent, very good friend of ours. Again, at Stirista. Can have a little preview, make sure that's the right Stirista we're looking for there, the right Vincent. And we can also evaluate these icons on the side. Gray on the phone, but we do have his email available. So again, we want to be mindful of which list we're adding him to. We still have the new October list selected, so I will go ahead and add him with a simple click of this plus sign. And he's on his way over to hang out with David in that new list of ours. So again, very powerful, very quick way to dive right into the B2B data with a few additional filters. If you're doing some broader prospecting, you can leverage those. But whether you're wanting to do it on LinkedIn or get right into the B2B data with the quick search, both are very good options. So let's say that you're having a tough time both ways. Maybe you're looking for somebody very specific and you know which company that they're at, but you can't seem to find them in either the extension or quick search. One thing you can do is use, again, in search contacts, find email. Now this is a pattern-based weighted suggestion where we will look at email domains, rather email addresses, verified known email addresses at a given company. And based on the information you put in here, we will apply, let's say that, USAA is pretty big down here in San Antonio. It'd be quite a hop for Vincent, but let's say hypothetically, he came down from New York to work at USAA. That would be a pretty tough record to catch if it happened relatively recently. But in this case, what we can do is look at all of the verified known email addresses that we have for USA.com, add Vincent's name, and based on our almost 6,000 emails known and validated for USAA.com, we can, with 88% confidence, suggest a likely email for Vincent. So because this is a suggested, a pattern-derived entry, we're not going to have the full scope of detail, but we will absolutely have a email to try to reach Vincent at when we head back to my data. And of course, export the list that we just sent him to, which again is new October. So again, so far we've gone through kind of the more direct individual prospecting, building a list, very, very helpful for sales and kind of direct engagement and outreach with these contacts. But let's head over to Audience Builder, which has a purpose for much larger scale list building. So this is probably what you would want to use if you're looking to, get hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of records for a campaign. All the high level segmentation points are here for you to break it down and really build an audience. And probably one of the best things I like about it is just how fast you can get those results back and play with that criteria to really hone in on the audience that you're looking to target. So this is actually the spiritual successor of sorts to our classic count system, but in keeping with our new overhauled approach for this new platform, we have overhauled the user experience for it with a nice guided guided process end to end, taking you through all these different points for building your audience. So we'll keep it simple for now, starting with the basic info. Let's go ahead and call this October webinar list. No, just starting real easy with the basic info. What information would you like? Let's set a preference for postal, email, and digital. How many contacts would you like to include per company? I'll go ahead and specify 2. You can select all, 1 per is also a standard option, or you can customize your quantity. I'm going to leave it at 2 for now, but pretty handy and powerful when you start to combine all of the different selection options, whether it's geography or certain management level for these contacts that you're evaluating. So I'll go ahead and leave it at 2. And all important again, our good friend suppression. Are there any contacts we need to suppress? I'm going to go ahead and leave it with none for now, but you can select to use all of your suppressions or even point it at a specific list to exclude on. So if you just want to create an audience that's mutually exclusive with another list, but it might not necessarily be a suppression list, you can expand that and actually point it at specific first or third party lists. For now, I will keep it simple with no suppressions, so we can have a look at the geography criteria. So first up, we have this pretty cool map, which you can just hop in here and start clicking some states. As you click the states, they will highlight. Very simple, quick, and easy way to add your geographic segmentation. There's also a search bar where you can search by city. Let's see. Yeah, it's always a little touchy when I'm using the screen share, but it'll drop a pin on the map, which you can either select that city specifically or draw a radius around. In fact, I can manually drop myself a little pin there. Even opt to draw a circle around it. So if you have a certain radius around a given location that you want to target, you can easily plot that, drop it, and then click to add it. Now, handy as this is, not all scenarios for geographic select are going to be easily used on the map tool. For example, say you have 200 different zip codes that you want to load in. Don't worry, we've got you covered. But you'll just want to head on down here to add locations in bulk. For each of these options, we have states, cities, counties, zip code, DMA, and MSA. So each of these has its own file upload option if you already have a list handy for that specific area. or you can choose to view from a list of ours. In this case, we have states selected. We can actually look at all the states, and we can click to select each of those as well. For now, we'll go ahead and proceed with, let's back out a little bit and go ahead and add Florida there, coast to coast. California, Texas, Florida. And then we'll proceed to industry. Before we go adding further criteria, at any time during the process, we can come over here to this little circling arrows, click update count, and see how our criteria is affecting our audience count. So just strictly based off of our data requirements in geography from basic info and geography, we can go ahead and apply industry criteria. So we have both SIC and NAICS codes, which are very common industry standard codes. And if you've ever worked with them, you've probably had another tab open to look up what code goes with which industry, which number goes with which industry. So we simplified that. We went ahead and just gave you an open input keyword-based search with enough detail to kind of pick through the hierarchy to distinguish the high-level categories versus the more detailed. And if you're less familiar with these, it starts at the highest level, 2-digit, and as you step into 4-digit and beyond, those sub-industries get increasingly detailed. So we can see, having searched auto, the high-level 55 SIC code pertains to automotive dealers, gasoline service stations, and the sub-industry. And since this is the 2-digit, these two match. But as we get into, say, like 4 digits, we can see down here we have industry 23, which is vehicle trims subcategory under apparel. So 4 digits, the more specific, the more digits, the more specific. For now, we'll go ahead and add automotive dealers and gasoline service stations. We can see that code has been added. Let's continue. Give a quick count update, see how that's affected. Again, I've limited my count to 2 per company, so we'll bear that in mind. So far, we're looking at 2 per company within Texas, California, and Florida for the SIC 55 auto industry. So we also have company, and next we'll have the more individual level selections, but this is where we start to get into some of the B2B detailed criteria. So leading at the company level, we have ABM, so account-based marketing, very popular. To kind of simplify our focus, we can drop in a list of company names or company websites to include or exclude for an ABM-based targeting. We can also, similarly, if we don't have a larger file prepared, we can just type those in manually here in company name and website. And here at the bottom, we have our codified company revenue and company size. So you can just hop in here, select the options for the ranges that you're looking for. And one other thing to note, this is probably a decent time to touch on it. If you notice, there's and or with each of these blocks within a tab. Say we wanted to look at a company with a certain revenue or that they were of a certain size. By default, we're pairing all of this criteria together so that it's additive, right? It's in this geography with this industry and these additional company criteria. So between these tabs, they're all additive, but within the tabs themselves, just like we're talking about here with revenue and size, we have the option to set it to or to allow for that flexibility. In this case, it would be qualifying companies that have a certain revenue or have a certain size. So we're stepping into the personal level criteria, and this is where you can get kind of crafty with maybe searching on title keywords. There's a lot of different titles out there, a lot of unique titles that maybe go beyond, say, marketing manager. There's a lot of branding style titles these days. So you can either choose to search based on keywords in the title, include or exclude, or you can come down here to professional level, where you can see our kind of standardized hierarchy of management levels. We have C-level, VP, director, manager. Let's go ahead and grab C, VP, and director. Actually, for auto, let's go ahead and swap in. Let's add manager in there as well. Why not? So what we can do is combine this different criteria. And let's say that we wanted to reach out to their marketing team. So department, we just come on down to marketing, add that. So now we've combined the criteria of the management level with the marketing, so that even if they have some more unique titles, we're still getting somebody that fits that profile. Beyond that, we have some other individual level criteria: gender, language, ancestry, ethnicity, all useful depending on what your needs might be for the audience. And last but not least, we have arrived on the review tab. And since we made some additional criteria changes based on that title and level, it's actually automatically updated the count, so we can have a clear view of what that latest update has affected our account. We can see the record breakdown, the coverage of postal, phone, and email, and digital for that 632. As well as get a quick recap of all of the criteria we've applied. We have basic information, the audience listening that we gave. There's all the geography that we selected, industry 55, the auto industry, as well as the level and department criteria that we applied. So we'll go ahead and take this through, and just like we did with the other tools, we can send this straight on through to my data. And in fact, let's go ahead and change this quantity down to, let's say 100. We have one last opportunity to adjust that quantity, as well as specify which list this data will go to. Now, we already gave it a name at the start because we don't always have to check out when we are trying to build an audience. We can save it for later and reload it later and continue our work. In this case, I'm going to, I could click this to add a new list with that very name. In this case, I'm going to add it to that same October list that we added David and Vincent to using the other tools. So just to drive home the point that it doesn't so much matter which of these tools you use, whatever fits the bill, whether you're doing some very targeted prospecting or large scale audience building, whatever tool does the trick, you can send your data over and be confident that it will be what you're looking for. So there we have it, Karl's data, new October, and our new B2B audience is on its way. So just a quick recap, we talked about DX, of course, the overarching mission being to get you directly engaged with our curated B2B data, putting that power in your hands, the ability to get that immediate response, that immediate feedback of counting your audiences, being able to add them and download them, access them, being able to onboard your entire team to collaborate on the platform, simplified plan management through record-based limits. How many records do you have here in the platform? As well as integrations for Salesforce, kind of the flexibility of organizing your operations within the My Data module. And of course, the capacity to upload your own first-party data for enhancement, as well as suppression lists for compliance. So this about wraps up the initial debut of our DX platform. I'm very excited to share it with you. And as I mentioned before, this is really just the start of it. We'll be building on this, launching new features, extending our integrations, and of course, listening to your feedback on how we can help improve the experience for you, our esteemed users. So Jared, with that, did you want to take a moment for this last bit to have a bit of Q&A?
Sounds great. Yeah, if any of you have any questions, if you want to put it in the chat, we can kind of go through there. I actually have one or two to start us off to get the gears going. Karl, in the data store, I was actually curious about across profiles. Are you able to share your saved data store, or do you have to export it and send it to say one of your buddies that you also work with?
So that's a good question. So the data stores are meant to be kind of a siloed. So you have a lot of flexibility within a data store for, say copying or sharing a list, or, ideally, if you are working with your buddy, and they have access to your data store, they can hop in there and work with you on a list. But as far as moving lists between data stores, we tried to enforce that kind of separation to where it's kind of logically divided, and you're not staring at one giant wall of lists. So yeah, I'd say if you're collaborating with them, it would probably be within the data store.
Sounds good. And again, yeah, if you guys have any questions, you want to type them in. I do have a couple of more that I was writing down as we went over. For the CRM integrations, Karl, how can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I'm sure people are curious about how robust those are. So, how often do they refresh? How often, or how long does it take us to onboard? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, so with regards to CRM integrations, Salesforce is the foremost at the moment. That's one that you can actually link your account within the platform and will allow you to push contacts to your Salesforce account. Alternatively, I mentioned the CSV format for other general manual integration. And what that really means is you're downloading your data list in a very simple file format that's pretty much the gold standard for a lot of upload features on other CRMs. So if you're using a CRM that's not Salesforce, you could easily download that list, take it over to your CRM and upload it in there as well. And of course, I've mentioned that data portability a lot, because the real question when it comes to data is, what are you going to do with it? And, of course, as part of Access B2B, we offer a full suite of email and digital activation. So it's very feasible for you to build your audiences here in DX and easily take those through to a campaign activation with our Access B2B team.
All right. I have another question, and if we have any other ones coming through, if not, we'll wrap it up. In the audience builder, I was curious what we have that new feature of the digital profile. What is entailed in that digital profile for a person that might be on the list?
So the digital profile, that mostly pertains to retargeting through digital campaigns. So in this case, there's typically a process that we call onboarding, in which we can take really any data list and match it to digital retargeting markers to allow that digital campaign to take place. So it's kind of a match process in that regard. People have mobile advertising IDs, different markers that allow them to be retargeted through the digital channel. So digital profile basically qualifies the estimated onboarding quantity for that given audience. So let's say you have an audience of 1,000. You might be able to onboard and digitally retarget about 600 or 700.
That's great. Karl, I think maybe we'll go ahead and wrap this up. If anyone on here has any questions, what's the best email to get in touch to get those addressed?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, certainly would welcome everyone to visit the new Access B2B website. There are opportunities for you to reach out to our Access B2B team, schedule another demo, take a deep dive, maybe discuss pricing and really the scaling of your operations, and find a plan that works good for your organization. So certainly, if you're interested, more information, head on over to accessb2b.com, and we'll hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks, Karl. And I appreciate everybody for showing up, and we will be in touch. I hope you'll have a great afternoon.
All right, thanks, Jared. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Karl.